Another webinar. AI is loud, email is louder. What do you say we get this thing going? All right. Well, I'm Paul Leslie, brand and PR specialist here at ZeroBounce. And as you can see, we're going to be doing a webinar about AI. Now, email is still outperforming every channel. The numbers are pretty incredible, actually. But I want to hear from you all. Where are you joining us from? I see Michael from Maryland, Lily from the UK, Sandra from Tampa Bay. We've got Ryan from Chicago, Denise from Ohio. They are pouring in. I like to see that. Manila, Mabuhay, Maryland, Dallas, Montreal, Kentucky, Canada. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us today. And let's get this thing started. Just a couple of things before we get going. Our most frequently asked question. Yes, this webinar is in fact being recorded. You're going to get a copy of it. And also, this is a good time to plug our YouTube channel. It'll be up on the YouTube channel by the end of the day, most likely. So be sure to go over there and subscribe. I've been told to push the different tabs here. So we've got the chat where you all are, but we are going to have a dedicated AMA. You can ask any question. We are going to do our best to get to it. Just up there at the top, you'll see the Q&A. Excuse me. And to just go over the agenda here, we're going to be covering why email still wins in the age of AI, 7 tactics that drive results right now, how it all works together, and then again, we're going to get to the questions. All right. Okay, so first I would like to introduce our Chief Operating Officer, Brian Minick. He is a thought leader in the email deliverability space. Let's bring Brian on here. Brian, how are you doing this afternoon?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you, Paul. Thank you for the introduction.
My pleasure. And then it's my pleasure to introduce Rebecca Gonzalez, Chief Operating Officer at Orange Marketing, a top 10 HubSpot Diamond partner. Rebecca helps organizations and individuals grow with confidence in an AI-driven world. Let's bring Rebecca onto the stage. Rebecca, how are you today?
I'm great. Hi, Paul. Hi, Brian. Excited to be here to talk about email.
Should be an interesting one. I'm going to hop off. I'll be back at the Q&A, but you all have a great webinar, which no doubt you will do.
All right, here we go. Okay, here we go. Just to kick it off, why email still wins in the age of AI. I think many of you joining us might have seen a little thing on Sunday called the Super Bowl. Do you realize that 23% of the ads were AI? I'm sure the marketers did. I'm sure it annoyed you a little bit. It kind of annoyed me. We hear about AI all the time. We're here to talk about email, and we're going to explain to you why email is so important. You control it more than you think. You own the list. You control the delivery. You control the impact. And this, we believe, Brian and I believe, this is one of your most important marketing segments or channels, pardon me. Okay. I'm working on this, Brian. Okay, so quick marketing lecture for those of you who took marketing in college or graduate school. Paid media is the media you pay for, like your Google pay-per-click. AI has destroyed this. We won't go into why. Earned media is where you get your press, your shares, your reviews. Again, AI has made this a bit difficult. And now own media. It's where you control 100% of it. So you control your website, you control your email, you control your content. AI has flooded all the other channels, but email is still something you can control, and then you actually see reactions from the people you're targeting. So now we're going to move into our 7 tactics. And Brian, here you go.
Perfect. Thanks, Rebecca. And I had no clue that all those ads were AI, and now I'm disappointed. Thanks for telling me that. So let's get into some of the tactics. Rebecca and I will go back and forth on some of these that will be helpful for you to, execute on your email marketing campaigns. And one of them is going to be around making sure that the data that you have is clean. It is a starting point. It is something that we have been talking about for years, and we have found it to be really the foundational piece to making sure that you have a good campaign going out, which is the quality of the data and the email addresses that you're sending to. People hate when I go into the comments, but I'm going to go right into it. Is like, is this a B2B? Yeah, this covers B2B. This is B2C. It doesn't matter whether you're sending to businesses or you're sending to consumers. I would argue it's even harder in the business world, by the way, if you cared more about the B2B side, which is the amount of churn and the amount of bad data that's kind of just constantly evolving in the B2B space. Consumer emails do last longer, which is, to your benefit. Gmails, AOLs, things like that, they're generally held on longer. It doesn't change job by job. But what you really want to be able to do and make sure you're doing is the email list that you have. You want to make sure you're removing hard bounces. You want to make sure that you're not sending to people that are known to mark you as spam. They absolutely obliterate your sending reputation. And the guardrails for that keep getting tighter and tighter. And the weight of people marking you as spam gets heavier and heavier, especially if it really takes off. You're just instantly going to get blacklists. And you want to make sure that the contacts you're sending to, that they gave you real emails. So typos are a real thing, things like that. Validation can really help clean it up. And really, one of the things that I focused on, because to me, this is like the basics, this is the 101, you need to have the data cleaned up, is so how do we keep it clean and keep it ongoing to make sure it's clean? And whether you're using HubSpot or using other CRM systems, we built all these native integrations into them to make sure that the data can be cleaned within that system on a time basis that you set to make sure that the data stays really good. So you want to make sure that the list health is really good. Another way that you can do this for a lot of people, if you're collecting data, is using validation on sign-up forms. So, or registration or collection form, whatever it is. So for example, there's probably a lot of HubSpot users in here today. We integrate with HubSpot forms. So anyone who's typing in the form, a customer, an end user of yours, if they typo it or provide a bad email address, we're blocking it and suggesting that they correct it while they're still on the page with you. Right? Which is critical. This is what's catching a lot of the bad data coming through. So just be aware there's so many use cases for this, and the collection and the maintenance, ongoing maintenance, is really important. So step one is to validate your list, make sure it's good. Step two is around the reputation. So you have to know what's going on with your sending reputation. And one of the tools that is really powerful for this is Google Postmaster tools. So if you're not familiar with that, you've never heard of it, you don't know what I just said, postmaster.google.com is a free tool that Google provides to allow you to understand what your sending reputation is within their network. But at the end of the day, let's be real, Gmail and G Suite runs 50% of the, of email. So you can monitor that. And one of the things that you want to make sure that you have done properly is the setup of your domain. So while it can get a little technical, I'm going to stay away from that side of the discussion. There are some DNS records are on your domain that you authorize the ability for a system or a service to send mail on behalf of your domain, and it can be trusted. That's what SPF, DKIM, and DMARC is. And so you want to make sure that's configured properly. And you also want to make sure you're not on blacklists. And so the way to do that is to use a blacklist checker. We provide free ones for that. We provide free checks on SPF, DKIM, and DMARC as well to make sure that you're doing a good job to understand where your reputation is. And what impacts reputation negatively is not the fact that someone unsubscribed, just to be clear. That's actually a positive signal towards your domain. What's a negative signal is bouncing emails to contacts that don't exist, high spam complaint rates, and then people also just blocking your mail, like saying, hey, this should have been blocked. Those are the worst signals that you can possibly have on your campaigns. And so you want to do your best to mitigate those. And validation helps on the bounces. These spam complaints, if you've never sent to these people, we actually can help identify some of those. But it's really important that you understand what triggers negative reputation. And just to really beat this one home, the interesting part about reputation, the very tough part about the reputation side, is it's really easy to chip away at the positive reputation and bring it down into a medium level. So it's generally looked at like low, medium, high, just for some context. High, once you're there, you're in the inbox. You're in a good spot. You should be fine. When you get into the medium, now it's like decisions may start to take place on maybe your content, maybe the behavior in the network. So be aware of that, and you do want to have a healthy sending domain. And if it's new or you have problems, email warm-up is a great way to help repair or establish first-time sending reputation or existing reputation. And so, just make sure you have a lot of those tools looked at, configured, and they can run all in the background. So some of them are mainly a kind of set it and forget it. And just look for, the right things, do the right things, include your unsubscribe links. Don't tell people to reply to opt out of your email. That's an instant mark as spam. So, follow some best practices and put a few tools in place to make sure you can monitor everything and you know what's going on there.
Okay. Next top. So thank you, Brian. The next topic is segmentation. And Brian was talking about the tactical things you put in place to make sure your email's clean and has a good reputation. Now I'm going to be talking about, as Brian talks about those items, things you can do to make sure that your email is giving out the proper signals. On the right-hand side of the screen are links, actual headlines of stories that came out in fourth quarter 2025. We're not naive here. Google has made it harder. They have made it more difficult. And that's why it's really important that we stay clean, do all the things that Brian says, but then you also have to be very careful with your segmentation as well. You want to send to people that are engaged and want to receive your content, and you want them to send signals back to Google. And I'll just use Google for illustration since they control everything. You want to send signals back to Google. And the signals are opens and clicks and happy people. And those signals are going out all the time. You're constantly communicating. So segmentation tips. I cannot emphasize this enough. And we've stopped people from doing this over and over again. Spray and pray is not an email tactic anymore. You cannot just continue to send to 18,000 people and think you're going to get good results. What starts happening is they become unengaged. Their lack of engagement, the fact they're not opening, they're not clicking, is sending messages to Google that you send content that nobody wants. So you have to be careful. The ways you can be careful, upper right, sure, that's a HubSpot screen. Why wouldn't it be? HubSpot has an automatic slider that tells you, lets you not send to unengaged contacts, and you can read their little documentation about what that means. You can also create your own list based on engagement. We have some examples in here, and based on content that they've downloaded or things that they've done. Another technique that we really recommend, and this is not batch email, this is automated email based on behavior. You can enroll people into a nurture segment. This is a dense slide. You guys are going to get all the slides. But we do these long format nurtures, which are basically articles, plain old articles in an email. When someone downloads something or fills out a form, they get enrolled into a nurture that goes out sporadically, and people want the content. We get really high open rates, low click-through rates. We don't care. We're trying to stay in front of people so that the day they have a problem is the day they get our email and the gods have intervened, and perhaps we get a new lead and a new contact. Moving on to, I think we're switching tactics. Tactic 4, very easy to explain. In this day and age, your emails better be simple. You shouldn't be having tons of CTAs, double format, 2-column content, lots and lots, and heavy pictures. Brian mentioned B2B. In consumer, it's more common for you to have these like prettier Sephora style emails. In B2B, you need to really keep it simple. These people are scanning their inboxes. They're going fast. So you really have to beat the cluttered inbox. This is a case study. I won't spend too much time on it, but it's a case study between us and ZeroBounce. We had a new customer who had 40,000 contacts in their database that they'd never really emailed to except fractionally, sporadically, no cadence, no nothing. We cleaned the list with ZeroBounce. We got rid of all the people who mark as spam. We got rid of all the bad emails. We sent out a warm up over about a month time. That means 100, 200, 400 a day. Simple message from the CEO, and they picked out the content that they thought everybody would love, and they were right. We got open rates of 23% on a cold email and click-through rates of 39%. Simple little email, cute subject, great preview text, 8-minute read, and it got people to engage. And now this customer has an engaged list of people who want to receive their content when they had nothing before. They were ignoring their best asset. This is a entirely different example. You can see some pictures. You can see some flash here. This is a digital native audience, and this customer sends out hardcore content. They create 2 research pieces or blog posts a week, and their customer base is digital natives. They don't necessarily click. They're scanning for a news story that applies to them, and they go down into it and click when they want to get it. We know the email's doing well. We can see it, 30 to 40% open rates. So the CTA isn't always the objective. Okay, new tip, optimize subject lines and pre-headers. Any of you who are into email have heard over and over again about, should you put emojis in the subject line? What kind of words should you put in the subject line? Blah, blah, blah. You can ChatGPT away on that. Brian, I'm sure, has lots of tips. Everyone has tips on that. What people sometimes miss are pre-headers. So we're going to talk about pre-headers in a second. But when you're scanning through your list of email, you see the subjects and you see the pre-headers. Marketers have to pay attention to the pre-headers as well. So we wanted to bring that up. It's really, really important. In B2B especially, what we know and what we've tested is that subject lines that intrigue people, that talk about a problem, that are a little bit scary, really, really work. And this is an example. I went through all of our emails we sent last year. Here was our best performing email. Highest open rate of 44%, highest click-through rate of 99%. 99, that'd be great. And the subject, LinkedIn's latest algorithm. Here's what's actually working. Brian and I are out on LinkedIn. This was set in March, and that's when everybody on LinkedIn was like, what is going on? What is LinkedIn doing? So we really grabbed their attention in a timely manner, and we just gave them content that showed we were smart and that was helpful. I'm still going. Here we go. Another great another great piece of content. If you can subscribe, I'm sure you can subscribe to CB Insights. They are a really interesting company. I took a screenshot of their all the emails I've received to them. They have a very irreverent tone. They provide really cool research, and they're not cheap. I read their emails all the time. It comes from an email that looks like their founder, and they have these really engaging subjects, and their pre-header most always contains their company name. Very, very good best practice to just give a little try. Almost back to Brian. One more thing. Something we tried. It was a recommendation from Brian's best friend, Jay Schwedelson. And the recommendation was try TLDR up in the subject, try a trick, and try the preview text. I wanted to give you one trick, 1-minute read. So I tried it just for fun. And I sent it out as the CEO of the company. It was a marketing email, and it was an interesting content that our marketing customers would like to receive because they follow this guy. Sure enough, we got a really high open rate, the 44%, very unusual. The click-through rate didn't matter to us at all. We were just giving them content that was going to be helpful. And so these are just things you can play around with. Okay, it's back to you, Brian.
Thanks, Rebecca. Really interesting, definitely interesting stuff. One tip on the pre-header stuff that I want to make people aware is I constantly see people have pre-headers that they forget to update, and then it no longer is relevant to the email that they sent out. So if you're if you're like everyone else, you're probably cloning the last email you sent from and are duplicating that campaign to some degree as a starting point. Just be sure that you're also checking some of the kind of hidden stuff that might linger if a pre-header would be an example of that. So I got excited once thinking a sale was still going. It was actually a mistake of the pre-header coming from one of the previous sales of a product that I was interested in. So just sharing that as a tip. But one of the other really important one, and it touches a question in here that I'm seeing in the comments around, is this just Google related or whatever that might be? And the answer is no. So the reason people talk about Google and Microsoft really, but Google just seems to be the hotter topic always for some reason. Now that I think about that, it's really because they're the dominant players in the email space, whether that's consumer or business, but they're not the only networks that are in there. And so, one of the really interesting things, and I'm glad you kind of even brought that up as a comment because it'll let me add more color here, which is the inbox placement, meaning where does your email land when you send it? And, the options are inbox, spam, or it's blocked altogether. The answer is it's not binary, like, yes, my email landed in inbox, or yes, my email is in spam. The answer to that is going to be on a per network level. Okay. So Gmail might put your email in spam. Outlook might put it in inbox. Yahoo might put it in inbox. This is varying based on your recipient's network that they're using, right? And so what determines if that network looks at you with good reputation or bad reputation? A few things. There's some of the stuff that we've talked about in the past. But in addition to it, it's things that are happening within their network. So if you send email to a lot of Yahoo accounts, for example, and a lot of them are marking you as spam, you'll probably be in the spam folder for Yahoo. But Yahoo and Google are not the same companies. They don't have a system that's talking to each other. Google might say, it's fine, inbox. I don't have a lot of spam complaints on this. So just to add more color as to how this whole thing works is, imagine you show up to all of these different providers with a badge that you can't control. You show up with a badge that says, I'm a spammer, or I'm a great sender, and that's what's helping them understand where to put your email. That badge is earned or not earned, I guess, if you want to look at it from a negative point of view, but is earned to get into the inbox. It is not just provided. And so how do you know if you're an inbox for these different providers? And that's what this inbox placement test is. This is, again, another free tool that we provide around allowing you to send mail to, we have about 130 or 140 seeds. The number keeps growing. The team's insane, just keeps building more stuff here. This is Outlook, Yahoo, AOL, Microsoft, Gmail, G Suite, and then all the tabs of G Suite as well, or Gmail, right? So promotions tab, updates, whatever it might be. You want to know where your emails are being sent and received to, where they're being received and viewed from your recipients. And why this doesn't work with your own internal seed list, by the way, is because you're biased. You've come in there at one point and said, this isn't spam. You've come in here and said, this is important. You've added signals, whereas our seeds are very just non-biased. You can't do anything to them, and we give you back the result. So you want to know if you're in spam folder for a particular network, because then you can go and fix it. So that's really important. So that's why the inbox tester exists, and that's what it does. We also have that blacklist monitor that I've mentioned. There's lots of great content scoring tools that are out there. I'm not the one for content. I just love the creativity that all these amazing marketers, I'm a tech guy, deep down, I'm a tech guy. But I love the creativity of the marketing people and what they do and how they think about it. But, deliverability, which is the ability to be in the inbox, it is a performance, metric. Really, it's a performance metric based on what you're doing and how your users interact with you. And so if they give you all those positive signals, you're going to stay in the inbox. And by the way, I'm sure everyone knows this, all the ROI is in inbox. None of it is in the spam folder. What's in the spam folder is a lot of work and a lot of wasted time and a lot of effort. And people just keep sending, they don't even know they're in the spam folder. So you have to know, and that is really the importance of that inbox placement test. You must know which network you're having problems with so you can go fix them.
So just a comment on the inbox test. We have definitely used that on behalf of our clients when they're having trouble to figure out what's going on. So we're definite users of these tools. They're really important to our jobs. I think we're heading into our last tactic is adjust send timing and frequency. And now another free plug for Jay Swedelson. He is not a sponsor of our webinar. He is somebody I think Brian and I both like and respect. He has something called the Guru Calendar. If you get nothing at all from this webinar, and you should be getting lots of things, get the slides, click on this link, get this calendar. It tells you when to send your email. One side is B2B, the other side is consumer. I did a little close up here of February and March, and we all know what the week of the 15th is and that the 16th, you know, what that means. And so federal holiday. So they're telling you exactly what to do. December is interesting. It's got lots of red. Do what this calendar says. They use hundreds of thousands of emails to figure it out. You don't need to guess. So that's first tip. Second odd tip. Early week education, late week conversion. Very, very true. So the human is kind of geared into educational items, and this is a little bit B2B, educational items earlier in the week, and later in the week, they're more decisive. They're trying to take action. This is just an example of a long format piece of content from somebody that we really respect. And sure enough, he follows that same cadence, doing a monthly long format, literally an article in an email that I read every word of. So just another thing for you to think about. Email doesn't need to look flashy. It can just be something like this and really be good for your business. Finally, a lecture. And I'm sorry to do this to you guys, but I have a pet peeve. I really violently oppose holiday greetings that are just emails that say happy holidays or whatever. Email has to have intent. There has to be a point to it. I am giving you an exact screenshot of something sent to me on December 23rd at, I think that says 4 a.m. So what many times our clients ask us, or they'll show us, look, here's our great holiday greeting. And we'll say, please do not send that, because the cost of every goofy email that you send is an unsubscribe. And so unsubscribe is the price you pay, and spam. These are the prices you pay for doing weird things, and you lose people. I'm sorry if you think that's mean to say it's weird, but you lose people from your list that you work so hard to get. So I had to bring it up. It is a pet peeve. That's a free tip. All right, we're bringing it home, Brian.
Yeah, it is a good point though, right? Which is, you know, the email should have a purpose, and while you may feel the need to send out something like that, it's what's the actual purpose, and is it going to achieve that objective? And if it's just keeping you top of mind, I'd argue there's a better way to do it. And so, you know, I think that's a really good tip. That thanks for bringing that one up. I like that one.
You're welcome.
So the fundamentals that are going to help drive the success here. So we'll, you know, come in here as we wrap up. And by the way, we really like the Q&A. So please, if you have specific questions, start to get those loaded up in the Q&A section on that tab, because I know there's some stuff over there, and Paul will help usher that when we get over there. But we'll wrap it up here with, you know, the basic fundamentals of what you need to be doing. You have to have good data. Okay. It has to be good data. It has to be targeted. It has to be the right people, and it has to be valid email addresses that deliver. You have to make sure that's there. The message has to be super clear. I think Rebecca really kind of pushed on that topic, right? You should have a purpose, and that purpose should be aligned towards whatever you're trying to achieve, that the user should receive well and want to interact and engage with that. And one of the best tips that I ever received is kind of, you know, stop sending emails out like you're the business, and start putting on your reader hat as an audience member of that email, and said, do I actually want this? And is it the value I'm looking for? Or is it just the brand shoving something in my face yet again? Because that's how unsubscribes are really going to go, you know, kind of crazy. So yeah, go ahead, Rebecca. You want to add something to that?
No, 100%. I just emphatically feel that you have to send email thinking about your reader and as a person, and not being so self-absorbed.
Yep. For sure. I think that's a really big one, and hard, by the way, especially when the email marketers get the pressure from, I don't know, let's say somebody like a CEO or a COO and says, hey, we need this or we need that, and they get that pressure. And so,
We
sometimes you
need
have to,
leads.
Yep. So, be aware. And the deliverability side, you want to focus on engagement. Okay. There's nothing that gives better signals than clicks. Clicks are great signals. If you can drive that click here to see your new balance, you did something. Click here to get this super awesome promo. Click here to get whatever it is. That click is worth a lot. So sometimes while it may seem, hey, I should put the promo code right there, there are reasons why you may want to actually get it back onto your website. Maybe it's for retargeting. Maybe it's for, stuff as well. So, there's really good stuff there. And I think with that, Rebecca, if you want to add some more stuff here, we can get into some of the Q&A.
Let's go to Q&A.
All right. Fantastic information, guys. And yes, nobody needs a happy birthday email from their podiatrist.
No, I really don't.
Just happy feet.
Yeah, nice thought. But we're just about to get into your questions. Thanks, everybody, for sending those in. We just wanted to invite you into your life. Go ahead and tap those QR codes there to your right. And let's get some questions going. Okay, so this one comes from Lily Jones. What tools can we use to be aware of engagement signals?
I could take that quite easily. So
Sure.
That's your CRM. So whenever you send an email, your CRM is going to tell you what your opens are, and it's going to tell you what your clicks are. It's going to tell you your spam. It's going to tell you your hard bounces. It's going to tell you what time the activity happened. So you definitely have to look at your CRM and look at exactly what it's saying about engagement.
There's one more thing on this I just want to add. So those are, of course, that will tell you post send.
Yes.
We also do some data appends to emails. If you've never emailed these people, for example, we have some data appends where we know that they're known to be clickers, openers, things of that nature. So we could potentially give you some intelligence on that if you have never sent to them. But and why that's important, by the way, is if you're nitty gritty, you love the segmentation. If you start to segment your engaged people first and send to those people first, you're really flooding a lot of positive signals on your reputation. And then the people where maybe the reputation is lower, that's going to help maybe boost it into inbox versus spam, by the way. So if you're a segment king or queen, that might be a good kind of way to start thinking about segmentation as well, as based on the engagement.
So not to just barrel on this one question, one thing I want to emphasize that ZeroBounce is amazing for, and we've tested it, it will tell you the people on your list who are likely to click on spam, and you can get them out of your email. In fact, a colleague came up on that list, and I said to her, "You're a marketer. Why are you showing up on this list?" And she told me she constantly clicks on spam. And I said, "You need to stop. First of all, it's bad luck. And second of all, it validated exactly what Brian's talking about. We always use that with any new client to figure out who is hiding on that list that's destroying their email reputation." Okay, Paul, we're done.
Busted.
It was a good question.
Was busted.
This comes from Ra. We have a small team with a focus on campaign ops. We have staff augment to help with production of small and large projects, and another team that manages data. How do we highlight the importance of clean data when you're not the team responsible for data management and you're operating with legacy systems?
That's a really good question. So a few things I think are how you help highlight the importance of it. Number one, this data is being stored in some system or systems. So I could even take an argument of, why are we paying to store bad data? That's one way to kind of look at it, to start helping push on this. But at the end of the day, if you are responsible for sending the messages out, there are still import exports of cleaning up data that you can still do. So it can all be done through lists, although it's just the slower way to do it. But I would highly recommend I think you got to take a step back. And I don't know, I got some spidey sense going on here that these are salespeople telling you, just spidey sense, maybe I'm wrong. Salespeople are notorious for shoving as much data as possible into the CRM, which then blends with the marketers, which then creates chaos. It's an even better reason, or to make sure you're cleaning up the data. But what you may also want to consider is, like, maybe it's time for a modern system that can actually help and add a lot of kind of advantages to your tool set here. But if you send a message to me on LinkedIn with what's going on specifically, I would be more than happy to kind of help give a little bit better guidance and a better response to that. But usually the proof is in the pudding. And so I would tell you to upload a list and go get a quality check on that. And you can do that for free as well, by the way. On the front of our website, we give you like a how much of that data might be bad. You can take a screenshot of that and send it to somebody and they'll get an idea of how bad it really is.
All right. And so this one comes from Alice. Can you talk about open rates and what that actually means? Important question.
Well, open rate is just a calculation. It's, I believe, open divided by deliverables, right, Brian? Did I do it right?
Yeah, so yes, but here's my opinion. It's a little bit of a vanity metric. So,
True.
You have things that can falsely provide a number here, such as
True.
Apple MPP. And if you don't know what that is, that's the Apple Mail Protection Privacy, where they're opening all of the mail to scan it and make sure that there's nothing bad in here, and they're helping decide what to do with it. So opens are no longer, to me, the great metric to shoot for goals. What I do use open rates for is they're really good to understand if a pattern changed. So if you're at 40% open rates, 38%, 32%, maybe it wasn't your best one. If you go to 4% open rates, something dramatic happened. Maybe you're in the spam folder, maybe you were blocked. I don't know. Something happened. And so to me, I'm always looking for those patterns to see if something really kind of skewed that number. But the definition of open rate is I delivered 10 pieces of mail to 10 recipients, 2 of them opened, and that is a 20% open rate. Now, if it's a person or if it's a bot, the systems don't know. The ESPs don't know. The mail senders don't know. So in that sense, that's how it's calculated and how it can be kind of used. But it's still a good metric to pay attention to. I still think it's an important metric to pay attention to, and look for pattern changes for sure.
All right. And so this one comes from Anonymous. How can we be aware of where we land in an inbox?
This is that inbox placement tool. So on our website, if you create an account, a free account, by the way, scan that QR code, create a free account. We have under our tools, it's called Inbox Placement Tester, fully free, not watered down, not scammy. You're going to send an email and then we charge you for the result. It is a free test. Go in there, send emails to our seeds. We provide you the whole list and you will understand exactly what's happening. We have multiple seeds in the same network by design. So 30 seeds in Gmail, for example, because one seed doesn't tell all. So you might be in spam for 22 of those Gmail accounts, or you might be in inbox for 22 of those accounts. We're going to give you a score. And so that's exactly how you would check it, and a tool to be able to do that really quickly.
Agreed.
All right. So the great Wayne Watson asks, beyond the required unsubscribe and address, which footer links actually improve sender trust and inbox placement? For example, FAQ link, contact us link, or policy pages link. Any thoughts there?
I'm going to give a thought. So the bottom footer, I'm going to tell you the truth. We've never tested any of that. So our bottom footer is always what CAN-SPAM requires, which is unsubscribe and the address. We may have a higher level footer that may be something else, but honestly, it's usually the offer. So Orange Marketing, you work with us and we will beat you up because we do not believe in having a lot of options for people to do in email. We do not like it when clients want their LinkedIn and all their socials and their contact us and all this stuff. What do you want them to do in the email? Give them the CTA and the link and get out.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point. And I would also argue this, again, put your user hat on, not your business hat. And the user hat is I'm on my mobile device because that's probably where I'm seeing the mail. And if I am trying to unsubscribe and then I click your FAQ and then I go back and I'm trying to unsubscribe and then I click your privacy policy, now I'm reporting you as spam. I'm just done. So I would keep the unsubscribe clear. And by itself, if somebody wants to unsubscribe, don't take it personally. That's really how I kind of let them do it and don't make it hard. And while that might sound counterintuitive, it's better for your overall inbox placement, because if people can't unsubscribe, that's just how you obliterate your domain, and then no one receives your email. So that's not the route you want to take.
Yeah, they'll turn around and mark you as spam in their Google inbox. So that's not good.
Yeah. Let them off there. They're not your guy or girl. All right. Ra has another question. Are high open rates still a KPI post the iOS 15? We use a new baseline based on the inflation that occurred from iOS 15. For example, previous open rates were 20 to 30%, now 50, 60%. We use the 50% as the new KPI. Any thoughts there?
Do you want to touch this one, Rebecca? I kind of feel like I did touch on this a bit.
I think you did. And so what Brian said, and I want to reemphasize, click-throughs are gold, because that's when they've taken action and they're worth bundles of money. Knowing who clicks on your email, open, like in the comments, we can see it. Brian talked about it being a vanity metric. Marketers are vain. I'm a vain marketer. And so I like looking at open rates, but yeah, we look at them for trends. We, like one client I mentioned to you, gets good open rates on his B2B email. We're always looking that he's hitting a certain number. B2B opens are always lower than consumer, blah, blah, blah. But we are using them for trends just to know we haven't fallen off a cliff somewhere and screwed something up.
Now here is an interesting one. This comes from Liz Larson. We moved from Constant Contact to HubSpot, and HubSpot has stricter rules, and it's killing our list. We do use ZeroBounce before emailing. We had better open rates on Constant Contact because they measure bounces and lack of engagement differently. What is the easiest way to adjust to the new platform?
I can do a quick answer, Brian, and you can think about that and do a longer answer. We have seen this so many times. So first of all, this is common when we have clients who are moving from Constant Contact, MailChimp, whatever, to HubSpot. We warn them, you are about to see what you perceive as worse results than you did before. All of these platforms measure differently. HubSpot is very strict. We are also insist on a burn-in period. You cannot just turn off Constant Contact, turn on HubSpot, and send 30,000 emails. You will be slaughtered. So a burn-in period is what Brian refers to, and we refer to as a warm-up period. And the more emails you have, the longer the warm-up takes. And that's when you start with a couple hundred a day, 500 a day, 1,000 a day. We basically do it by hand using workflows. And if it takes 2 months, it takes 2 months. And you burn that domain in, because you are now, your domain switched from Constant Contact to HubSpot, and the internet is shocked and clutching their pearls. They are not delivering your email. And so it is life. It takes time, and you have to be patient, and you have to stand firm against your CMO and your CEO. And there's time when you need both tools. They cannot turn off the other one and just start using the new one. Okay, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good response as well. One more thing to definitely consider. Yeah, no, I mean, but it's true. So you can't just flip the switch. What you may be saying to yourself is like, but I already send this much email. Yeah, you did. No. But what you didn't do it is on this new IP address that you can't see, that technical elements like Gmail and G Suite can see. So they're seeing a new IP address with your mail that they've never seen before. So it's not an instant handoff, even though the domain is the same. Okay, there's a technical underlier there. In addition, what I see the most common problem for this exact scenario, and you can put X and Y for Constant Contact and HubSpot, I don't care which two systems you put in place there, is that the technical setup of that was not done properly.
Yes.
And the SPF and DKIM and DMARC is not set up properly for this new system that you migrated to. And therefore, all of your emails are going to go to spam, maybe on particular networks, depending upon how bad or how much mail you send or what the configuration is. So you need to run that email server tester that I mentioned. That is what would tell you what's going on there. And if you have no clue what I just said, and everything sounds like gibberish, but it sounds like this might be something that is happening to you, we have people that are hands-on will go in there, and go through it, right? And so, whether you're doing that through Rebecca or you're doing that through ZeroBounce and Orange Marketing, it doesn't matter. People can go in there and they will put their finger on it in minutes because they know exactly what to look for. They know how to test it and they know what to do. And we're seeing people get, you can get an instant result and change, by the way. If the DNS is misconfigured, they think that someone's trying to send mail on your domain fraudulently. They're trying to stop spammers and spoofers. And so one way they do that is by authentication. If your authentication's off, you're in the spam folder, period. And so that could be happening to you. And that happens a lot, especially if you don't have a technical team supporting that migration.
All right. So this one comes from Aaron Burton. To help check deliverability across inboxes, I include a segment of test accounts with an address on each platform, Yahoo, Gmail, Hotmail, etc., to ensure the emails look as intended and appear in the main inbox. Is there a more automated method?
Yep. It's that inbox placement tester. Man, I should have put a screenshot as one of the slides for this.
You should have.
I should have. So next time I'll know better. I'll put a screenshot for that. But
it's a really good tool, Brian. It's incredible.
Yep. So yes. And again, I just want to share again for everyone, your seeds are biased. I'm just telling you right now, if you're using your mom's AOL account and you're asking her, sending her a text, did that go into inbox? Does it look pretty? These are all biased mailboxes. You must use an unbiased, neutral source that has not interacted and changed the placement of your emails. And so that's what our inbox tester does. And we refresh those seeds when we need to make sure that it constantly stays in that mode.
One little thing on that as well. I don't think you were getting at this in the question, but on HubSpot especially, they have an integration with something called Litmus. So Brian will make sure that you deliver, and HubSpot will show you your email on every email platform known to man, and you will see if it's ugly, gross, or whatever. And so it's really, really good when the CEO of a company is on Outlook 2016 desktop and you know who I'm talking to. So anyways, it's really unfortunate when that happens, but it helps you test for that up front.
Okay, another one from Anonymous. How do we fix if we land in a spam folder for a network? Kind of the holy grail question here.
Yep.
I want Brian to answer it. I mean,
sure.
My quick answer is you behave like a good kid for a long, long time and hope for the best.
That's definitely an answer. I'll give more guidance towards it. So the way to fix it, first and foremost, you must know what network you're in spam folder for, which is that inbox placement tool. Man, I feel like all I'm doing is plug in that tool. Anyways, It's an awesome tool. Use it. Once you identify the network, G Suite, Yahoo, whatever, two ways that you can do this. Number one, start looking through the data of those people. Make sure the validation is taking place on those networks to make sure you're removing those bad actors, people who are known to mark as spam, things like that. Spam traps, that's another thing. I didn't even touch on that, but these are really bad emails that can be in your accounts. And then secondly, another tool is, so we do like automated warm up, for example. And one of the benefits of that tool is you can start to say things like, I'm having problems in Gmail, and our automated tools will start to really try to flood and repair that damage that may have taken place that puts you in the spam folder. So email warm up is definitely a product that can help, combat against bad reputation, or if you had it. And a lot of this is unintentional, by the way. Like, I'm totally aware we've done it ourselves. I'll be the first one to tell you, we've screwed up. We've filtered an Excel spreadsheet wrong like everybody else and have sent to the list that we weren't supposed to instead of the one we should have. Everybody's human. That's why these tools exist. And that's why we built it, because we also wanted to make sure any problem that we have for deliverability, we want to make sure people can solve. And so that's why we build all of these tools. So how do we know we're in spam? Well, we need to test it on inboxes. Well, how do we do that? Build an inbox tester tool. So that's why we started to do all that. Warm up is definitely a way to do it. Best practices is going to help you. That's a longer game. You want to make sure you're following best practices consistently, and reducing spam complaints and making sure you have no spam traps on those networks are imperative. That will definitely help you, restore that reputation.
I want to say one thing about his warm-up tool, because I was talking about marketing warm-up, which happens over time for a couple months. We use Brian or ZeroBounce's warm-up tool on a specific email. For example, for you marketers, Orange Marketing sends their marketing newsletter from hello@go.orangemarketing.com. That is an email that's only used for sending email. So it's a dangerous little email. We have that constantly running through Brian's tool. We pay money. So that email is constantly getting hit in and out with emails. Like, it's just constantly looking alive and active. And it's just helps us deliver email to that newsletter. I'm not explaining it right, Brian, but we definitely recommend that tool.
Yeah.
All right, so this question comes from Lorena Zambrano. When adding links to the body of marketing emails, does it encourage more trust to paste the full URL or simply link a word or phrase, say if it's a title linking to an article? Interesting question.
I don't think it matters personally.
I don't either.
So I don't think it matters on how you put the link. And to be honest with you, I would stick with like a more friendly looking text, like click here. What I would say is super important is a few things. Where that link goes to is really, really important. So for example, if that link is going to third-party trackers outside of your ESP, these shortened URLs because you want to get click reports through another source, bad. Don't use those. If you're linking to a third-party website that you don't own, you need to go scan what the reputation of that link is before you send that through your email. Let me give you an example. I'm going to give a really bad case here. Let's say you're linking to a website that has malware on it. Maybe it's not on that page, but it has malware on the domain. If you're sending links to it, your emails are immediately going to be blocked by the providers because you're linking to a domain that is known to have malware on it. You're throwing a bunch of red flags. So be careful when you're kind of linking to destinations that you don't have control over. Things like social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever, that's fine. I'm talking about the third-party websites that even look very friendly. Like it's just a guide, and it's a guide from somewhere. If that website had malware on it and it's stuck in the system that way, and the mail servers know this, your email is going to get thrown in the spam folder as a result of it, and they're going to think you're contributing to that problem. So be very, very cautious with sending links to third-party sites that you haven't vetted completely. So running scanners on those websites to understand. I know this is complex, but it's a little tip that really can make a big difference.
Good.
Because now you hurt your reputation doing something very innocent.
This one comes from Sarah Almario Bryce. Is there a tool like Postmaster for Outlook or Yahoo?
Yes. So there's Senders Hub, and that can be used. And yeah, why not? I'll talk about it. ZeroBounce is coming out with one, and we are very close to launching that. We will have a deliverability dashboard. We're sick of it. Same problem. You're asking this question. We asked this question. We want a centralized place that I can see deliverability, understanding, and reputation monitoring from all of these networks. ZeroBounce we are developing it. It's in QA. It's coming. So on that side, yes, we will help and be able to help with that. And we'll take all the other items that we use, such as your health of the list, such as your inbox placement testing, your configuration scores. All of this will give you actually an even better look, because we can incorporate a lot of other data points where these other sources actually can't. They're just looking at the receiving of your mail, and we can look at a lot of the other things to help give you some more stuff. So there's a really awesome platform and kind of
Cool.
deliverability graph and some metrics there that it's really going to be helpful for people. I'm super excited about that one.
Good.
Brian, did your heartbeat pick up when you announced that just now?
A little bit, because it was kind of like a push that I had internally. I was sick of it. I'm like, why do I keep sending people to Google? And then on top of, if you've ever been to that tool, it actually kind of sucks.
It's awful.
But it sucks, but it's the only option you have. And so
Mhm.
I'm not sending you there because I think it sucks. I'm sending you there because it's the only option you have to really get a good view as to how they view you. So we're going to put it on steroids and
Good.
aggregate it against multiple sources and be able to serve it up in a better way. It's coming.
Good.
You're hearing it first here. This comes from Mark Al. Looks like Mark AI almost. For a new sender, what's the best and fastest way to warm up, and how long does that take?
You want me to take this one, or you want to take it?
I'm going to start with it depends, and then Brian's going to go into it. There's two different warm-ups, and we've been talking about it just to be like technical and confusing. There's the warm-up on the email, the from email itself, and there's the warm-up of you using an ESP like a constant contact MailChimp, HubSpot with your domain that have never seen the light of day. The big kind of, I hate to say the kiss of death, is a brand new domain, obviously on a brand new sending platform. If you've got a big list, it's going to take a while. If your goal is to send you've got 60,000 opt-in lists. If you've got 5,000, it's not going to take as long, but it's going to take a while for the internet to be happy about a brand new domain on an ESP. And alternatively, existing domain on a new ESP. So certain things just take time. And I think Brian might have a technical answer for this.
Yeah. So, I mean, you definitely nailed it on a brand new domain. I wouldn't even attempt. You need to be 6 months plan ahead on this, by the way. So if you're thinking about, let me go buy a new domain and send mail on it tomorrow, bad idea. You can buy the domain, that's fine. But I wouldn't plan to really even send on it for at least 6 months. It needs some history. It's very simple to know when a domain was spun up, essentially, or purchased or acquired and moved into a business. And so that's the simple check that mail servers will use to understand authenticity. It is a slower process. It's a doubles game. So it starts to double, over some time, over a day or two, we'll start to double it. And this is what our automated warm-up tool does automatically. Mm-hmm. There is literally a setting that says this is a brand new domain. And we go, okay, we gotcha. We're going to take it slow and we're going to ramp up, and we hold your hand through it and do it for you. So you literally just configure the mailbox, put the password in it. We handle the whole thing for you. And so if you don't have the experience, I can say this: don't attempt to manually warm up domains on your own. You won't know what you're doing. You don't know how to do it properly. And you don't know how the mail servers are all thinking. Use an automated tool that you just configure and then step back. Let it do its thing. You'll see what's going on. The score is going to go up. The score is going to go down. The score is going to go up. The score is going to go down. It's no different than anything else. It will take some time to climb, and it will come down a little bit at the same time. So this is natural. This is normal. They're trying to establish reputation on you, and it's earned. It is not something that just happens overnight.
All right. Well, did we leave anything out? I think we have a lot of information here, and thank you everybody for sending in your questions. I certainly have learned a lot. Anything you guys think we should touch on before we call it?
No, but thank everyone for joining. We really appreciate the opportunity to talk about a subject that obviously we have a lot of passion on.
Great questions as well.
Yeah, great questions.
Thank you for them.
Thank you guys.
All right. Thank you all for joining us. And yes, this is going to be on our YouTube channel later today. You'll also get a copy. Everybody, have a wonderful day, and we look forward to seeing you on another webinar.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rebecca and Paul.
Thanks.